Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flannel Channel. I'm Philip. I'm glad you're here. In today's video, we took 28 hours of footage and we condensed it down to 28 minutes so you could see the entire build of Curtis Lowe, our 79 F-150 that we body dropped onto a Crown Victoria. My sons and my dad, we all worked together on this project. It took us about 6 months during the entire school year. We had a blast doing it together. We want to take you on the journey. Let's do this. Welcome to episode number 1 of what we're calling Curtis Lowe. It's our 1979 Ford F-150 that we're doing a body swap onto this 2003 Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. It's a P71. It's kind of clapped out, it's got a little bit of rust, it's gotten punched in the nose a little bit, but underneath it's all pretty solid. And I've always wanted a Crown Vic. I've always wanted a cool F-150 from the 70s, and so we're gonna mate them together and do something that other people have done on other channels, but this is our first time, so follow along with us. It's bound to be hilarious. We're gonna learn as we go. Here goes nothing. The plan for now is to retain the floor and to retain part of the firewall, and then to set the body of the pickup down on top of this thing. Why are we putting a pickup truck on top of a car? Well, some of the advantages to doing this are you get a fuel injected V8 engine. Crown Victoria is going to give us independent front suspension. It's going to give us 4-wheel disc brakes. We're going to get an overdrive transmission. We're going to get a limited slip differential with a pretty good gear ratio on it. We're going to get modern running gear underneath. And if we ever have problems or breakdowns while we're out on the road, you can simply stop in and get your parts for a 2003 Ford Crown Victoria for brake pads or shocks or whatever you end up needing. It all fits Crown Victoria. So that's why these kinds of swaps are really desirable. Now, I also know that there's some people that choose to use only the front clip from the Crown Victoria, and that will actually bolt right to the frame rails of the F-150. That's totally cool. Some people do it that way. We plan to do the entire thing because I honestly want this transmission, this engine, this chassis, the entire shoot and match. I don't want to have to mess with brakes. I don't want to have to mess with wiring and all that stuff, changing it over and splicing it together. I want complete Crown Victoria underneath the body of the 79 F-150. So There we go. The old dent size in the shop. Time to get ripping. So, let me tell you just a little bit about this thing, because you probably haven't seen this truck. We haven't posted a whole lot about it. It's kind of a surprise. We bought it in the dark one night, and I think there's a short clip of us buying it from some guy, not really knowing what it was. You know, like what color it was and stuff like that. But yeah. Old beat up farm truck. And obviously it's gonna be a Crown Vic underneath. So we were mostly just interested in the outside sheet metal, but it's got a 6 in a row ready to tow with a manual transmission, rotten floors. The box is in fairly decent shape. Chrome is in good shape. I'm really excited about this color because it's kind of a, I don't know, chocolate brown. It's got fake pinstripes that are just stickers, but we're gonna change that, right? And we'll end up having to probably replace cab corners because they're kind of rotten underneath there. But I love dent side Fords, and I think this is gonna be a really, really cool donor to sit on top of that Crown Vic. We're gonna do our best to leave this dash alone because these things are sweet. So yeah, that's the plan. Start surgery after we clean this thing out. So let's get to it. Let's grab the garbage can, the shop vac, and start ripping into it. Here we go. So here they are. The final coat has dried enough that we can actually mount these wheels up tonight, and I'm pretty excited about it. I love doing tire work anyway. There we go. There's the bird's nest. Next thing I'm gonna do is get in here and I'm going to remove all the insulation on the firewall and the floors, the kick panels, things like that, because I don't want any fires as I'm gonna start welding on this thing soon. So Jacob drove the car under its own power with the seats and everything on its new rolling stock the way that it is. We brought the front clip in because we're gonna be using that to help determine where the cab needs to sit. We're gonna find our center line on the fenders and mock up where our firewall of the cab needs to go. And we're gonna get the cab lifted up by the hoist. And then we'll get the car back underneath. I was just saying, it's like gutting a deer. You're seeing stuff you've never seen before. Wow. Stance I wanted.
And so I've already drilled this out and tapped this one here. It's a self-tapping screw. So I just drilled these two, and then when we get all done with that, move the other side and do the same thing, and we should be back to 2 inches that we need.
Perfect. Looks great, Dad.
Thank you.
Thanks for your help. That's awesome. Well, it's probably safe to say that I have reached the limits of how much I can trim on the Crown Vic for height, because I'm unwilling to cut into the truck any higher than this seam here, and I can't go any lower there. So I'm gonna say that corner is as low as it can get. And so what I started to do is just take measurements and figure out where I'm square, where I'm level. And you're looking at within about 1/8 of an inch of where everything should sit. So now that Jacob has the Crown Vic and the 79 wiper motor next to one another, we can see that he's going to be able to hopefully use this old mounting plate for the Vic as a pattern for how to drill holes and modify this plate to mount this motor. And then he's going to switch over the crank arm from this to that. And if we need to, you know, we'll weld something or we'll somehow modify it so that this arm and armature can fit onto this motor. This motor will then get bolted to that plate, and then we can go back in the cab of the truck. There you go.
Yeah, we're practically latched.
Perfect. I'm gonna take these rocker filler panels that I made and install them, just like that. I'd say my plan of the new steel here and here, and then stitching it to the rockers of the truck so that truck and car are all now one. I'm pretty pleased with that. Got the brown paint sanded down and just started tacking in our new piece back here. It is a little bit long in some spots underneath, but that's okay. I'm gonna work that later on. But for tonight, we're just gonna get this back filler panel tacked into place. The other part of it too is that the bed of the truck is gonna be up against it. Nobody's gonna see this except you and me. So not a big deal, but I'm happy with how it's turning out so far. So let's get it tacked up. The whole front clip is now set on factory style, and I like that being rubber mounted to try and prevent some vibrations and shaking and things like that. So now I can concentrate on where I'm going to mount my bumper. I actually have the old frame horns from the pickup truck itself that I'm probably going to use and either graft on or weld or come up with some brackets or something like that. But so what I'm going to do is box in this little area of the Crown Vic where it's meeting the pickup cab. I'm just using some single layered cardboard from like a case of beer. Then once I have my pattern, I'll transfer that over to some of the sheet metal that I have, cut that out, tack weld it into place, and move on. And I have lots of areas to do that in my firewall and just filling in little gaps and puzzle pieces along the way. And it's really time consuming and arduous, but it's gotta happen. This is the part of that project that seems to last forever, but in the end, it's all worth it. I keep telling myself that. And just like that, we're tacked into place. I'll come back and keep filling in more weld, but because it's a triangle and there's points and it's thin metal, it's really easy to burn through, and I don't want to do that. So weld a little, let it cool, weld a little, let it cool. But my main goal for today is to just keep moving on, and so I'll come back and keep filling more gaps, but now I'm gonna work on this one and then start filling in around some of the gaps in the firewall. Well, it's got more sealant on it than sink at McDonald's, but should hold. We'll just try and keep water and noise out of the cabin as much as we can. I'm gonna spray a little bit over the top of my sealant and onto my firewall. And I decided on some Rust-Oleum, autumn brown, multicolored, textured kind of stuff, because honestly, I want to try and camouflage this stuff. I don't want to draw attention to it. That's why I'm not going with like a gloss black. I want it to look like it belongs. So that's what I'm going to try. Let's see if it works. Yeah, not bad. I'm happy with that. And just sort of looks like, you know, like a patched up F-150. Not bad, not bad. Awesome. Okay, bolts in the dash are tight. The screws are all along the top, and I'm sick of taking this dash in and out to do the trimming and things like that. I'm gonna declare it in for good, and if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, and I'll eat my words. But I think from now on I can work around the dash and continue on making progress. We move on. I have my power probe here. We're gonna send 12 volts to it. See how everything works. Let's take a look for the first time. You get to see it. Here we go. Hey, right on. I'm doing that, by the way, with the switch. So, yeah, I love it. Pretty cool. I know it's not everybody's style or flavor to have cab lights. And factory, it probably would have only been like 3/4 tons or 1 tons that had roof lights like this, clearance lights, whatever you want to call them. They came on our project. I love them. I think they're cool, and I wanted to get a fresh set on there so they look the part, and they all work now. Alright, so there's the finished dash pad installed, and I'm really happy with it. I think it looks great up there, and for 1/3 of the price of a brand new dash pad, I'm happy with that. So cover lay, great job, and I'm gonna definitely suggest anybody else looking for something like that to do the same thing. I think that turned out awesome. You can tell this stuff dries pretty quickly, and it's going to be matte black. It's not going to dry glossy, which is awesome. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And I love doing stuff with a brush and a roller. I know you can spray this stuff, but I like to be able to control how thick and how heavy it is. I've painted many frames and stuff like that with Rust-Oleum. This acts very similar. This stuff just acts like normal enamel paint. And so, yeah, I'm really impressed with it. Glad we're saying goodbye to this junk. And that looks amazing. I'm super happy. Keep going. Now that the floor is all painted and dry, I want to get some sound deadening insulation down in there. And I'm going to try and get my roll bar coated today with the clear coat. And yep, that's right. I'm not going to be painting this stuff. I want to be able to see the awesome welds that Brett did there for us. Yeah! So does this mean that the project is finished? No, but I'm enjoying it every single day, and I love this thing. I want to finish getting the cruise control working. The air conditioning still needs to be charged up, and I plan to put wood in the floor of the box. So things like that. But man, this was such a blast. Thanks for coming along on the entire build, and we'll keep you guys updated because we have some big plans in the future. We have road trips and car shows, and I'd love to supercharge this thing because more power. So we'll see. Stay tuned, everybody. Thanks for coming along. Peace and grease. Now, I didn't put every single detail of the build in today's video just to keep it short, but if you want to watch step by step how we did everything on this thing, go to the playlist and I'll put the link in the description below, and then we'll have a pop-up at the end of the video for it. So